Now let's review the survey tool, beginning with the interview portion. As we begin to take a closer look at the survey tool, we suggest that you follow along with your copy of the actual survey tool. Each counter needs to fill out the top of each survey prior to collecting data. The form is designed to collect information about multiple people in a household or family unit. That is up to 5 people in a family. However, if you encounter a single person, record 1 single person per form. It is important that we read each question clearly and fully. Please read all of the information clearly. Read and emphasize all parts of the survey in bold or red. Please do not skip any questions and do not answer on behalf of the respondent or interviewee. Their response should be based on how they self-identify. If a respondent indicates that they have several people in their family that are not physically present, please include them and allow the respondent to answer the questions on their behalf. All volunteers should include responses self-reported by the respondent or interviewee, even if the volunteer believes the responses to be false. We have provided you with a script to help you introduce and conclude the survey interview process. You may read the script exactly as it is written. We suggest that you read and practice conducting the survey interview process using this script with your family and friends. It is extremely important to complete all questions on the top of the survey. All of these questions are critical and required. When completing the location of interview question, please enter a specific location, address, or street intersection. A single street or name of an establishment without additional information will not suffice. Please ensure that you are entering the correct city and zip code. Volunteers will be sent to city areas and county unincorporated communities. It is important that the surveys are labeled correctly so that the counts are accurately credited to the correct city or county area. The zip code is also an important field. Please do not leave it blank. If you are the survey taker, please enter your full name as the interviewer, and don't forget to enter the time you began the survey. Finally, select whether you are conducting an interview or observational survey. If you have any questions about your location, city, or zip code, please ask your deployment site leader, law enforcement escort, or count team leader. The interview section of the survey tool has been designed for you to simply read the questions and response options to the respondent. Mark only the response given to you by the respondent or interviewee. Question 1. Where did you and your family sleep last night? The responses to this question will be included in two separate parts. Response options 1 through 8 will be included in the first section, and response options 9 through 13 will be included in the second section. If the interviewee's response is included in number 1 through 8, then the individual will most likely be considered homeless for the purpose of this survey. Option 8 will require further evaluation if selected. If the response is included in number 9 through 13, the individual is not considered homeless for the purpose of this unsheltered survey, and the survey should be stopped immediately. Question 2. Did another volunteer already ask you these same questions about where you stayed last night? If the respondent or interviewee was asked the same questions about where he slept last night, the survey should be stopped immediately. Thank the individual for their time, and yes, you may give them an incentive bag. Question 4, Part A. What are your initials? And other people in your family from oldest to youngest. And question 4, Part B. What is your relationship between the interviewee and the other family members? Enter the first and last initials for the interviewee and all family members sleeping with him on the night before the count. For each person, select the appropriate relationship to the interviewee. For example, your interviewee's initials are JC and her child's initials are DC. You would enter JC in box 4A next to person 1. You would enter DC in box 4A next to person 2. Since JC is the interviewee, the relationship in 4B is self. Since DC is the son of the interviewee, the relationship in 4B is child, or bubble in 2, representing child.
Question 3. Including yourself, how many adults, children, and pets are there in your family unit who slept in the same location with you last night? Please enter the number of adults 25 and older, the number of adults 18 to 24, and the number of children 17 or under. This year we are also asking for the number of dogs, the number of cats, and the number of other animals that slept with the individual as well. Please write the type of other animal in the space provided.
Question 5. What is the month and year of your birthday and other family members? Enter the month and year of the interviewee and other family members' birthdays. Please do not ask the respondent for the birth dates, only the birth month and year. Question 6. What city and state were you born in? Enter the birth city and birth state for the interviewee and all family members sleeping with him on the night before the count. If any persons were born in a foreign country, enter the country in the appropriate state box.
Interview question 7. Please read the word language that appears before question 7. It reads as follows. The next few questions may seem fairly obvious, but we do not want to assume anything. We want to know how you self-identify, so I will read each question and all response options. It is important that you, the volunteer, read this information to the homeless individual you are surveying. This information has been provided in order to make the homeless individual feel ready and prepared about the personal nature of the question that follows. Question 7. Are you male, female, transgender, or gender non-conforming, i.e. not exclusively male or female? Please just read the response options and allow the homeless individual you are surveying to provide their selected response.
Question 8. Are you Hispanic or Latino? Enter the appropriate response for the Hispanic or Latino ethnicity question for the interviewee and all family members sleeping with him on the night before the count. If the person is Hispanic or Latino, please select yes. If the person is not Hispanic or Latino, please select no. Question 9. What is your race? You can select one or more races. The choices are American Indian or Alaskan Native, Asian, Black or African American, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, white, or don't know, refuse to answer. Select the appropriate race for the interviewee and all family members sleeping with him on the night before the count. Some respondents may be concerned that their race does not appear in the response options. For example, a respondent that considers himself to be Mexican chose yes to question 8, having a Hispanic or Latino ethnicity. However, for question 9, does not identify with one of the response options for the races listed in question 9. Federal or state guidelines would suggest that a person identifying as Mexican would select white as their race. If your respondent does not select this answer, please do not select it for him. This is why it is important to read all options to the respondent and allow him to select a response. If the respondent is not sure what response or which response to choose, or refuses to select a specific response, please select the don't know, refuse to answer response option. Question 10. Why did you become homeless? You can select one or more reasons. Enter the appropriate response. The interviewee and all family members sleeping with him became homeless. Please remember to read all choices to the interviewee. The response options are unemployment, lack of income for housing, fleeing domestic violence, discharge from medical institution, discharge from jail or prison, mental illness, runaway or left home, or other. Question 11. Have you served active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces? Select yes or no to indicate whether the interviewee and family members sleeping with him on the night before the count served in the active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces. Question 12. What is the longest time you've been continuously homeless? Less than 12 months or 12 months or more? Responses to questions 12 through 14 are used to determine if individuals meet the chronically homeless time requirement. Only continuous time spent in homeless shelters or on the street should be included in this response. Question 13. How many separate times have you been homeless in the past 3 years? Select the number of separate times the interviewee and all family members sleeping with him have been homeless within the past 3 years. The choices are 1 time, 2 to 3 times, or 4 or more times. Question 14. In total, how long have you been homeless in the past 3 years? The choices are less than 12 months or 12 months or more. Select the total length of time the interviewee and all family members sleeping with him have been homeless within the past 3 years. Only time spent in homeless shelters or on the street should be included.
Question 15. Were you recently released from jail or prison within the past 90 days? Please select no or yes. If the homeless individual responds yes, please also ask whether they were released on probation or parole. If the answer to question 15 is no, then please ask the homeless individual if they were released from jail or prison within the past 12 months. Please select no or yes. If the response is yes, then please also ask the homeless individual if they were released on probation or parole.
Prior to asking question 16, please read the read introductory language to the interviewee. The language is designed to make the interviewee feel more comfortable about the sensitive nature of the following questions. The language is as follows. The next few questions are private and sensitive in nature. I apologize for the sensitive nature. These questions are not meant to make you feel uncomfortable, but rather are simply part of the survey. Your responses are voluntary. By reading this language, it does put the respondent at ease. Please note that all parts of question 16 should only be answered for persons 18 years of age or older. Questions 16, parts A through J, are used to determine if the individual has a disability. Please remember to read these questions exactly as they are worded and select the appropriate yes or no response. 16A, do you drink alcohol frequently or for long periods of time? Responses, yes or no. Follow-up question, if yes, does it keep you from holding a job or living in stable housing? Responses, yes or no. It is important that both parts of this question are asked and answered in order to determine if the frequent and long-term drinking are actually considered a disability. Question B, do you use drugs frequently or for long periods of time? Yes or no? And if yes, does it keep you from holding a job or living in stable housing? Yes or no? Question 16C. Do you have post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD? Response options, yes or no. If yes, does it keep you from holding a job or living in stable housing? Response options, yes or no. If the respondent seems unclear regarding the definition of PTSD, please read the hint included in red. Question 16D, do you have any serious mental health conditions? Response options, yes or no. If yes, does it keep you from holding a job or living in stable housing? Response options, yes or no. Question 16D. Do you have a physical disability? Response options, yes or no. Follow-up question, if yes, does it keep you from holding a job or living in stable housing? Response options, yes or no. Question 16F, do you have a developmental disability? Response options, yes or no. Follow-up question, if yes, does it keep you from holding a job or living in stable housing? Response options, yes or no. Please remember to read these questions exactly as they are worded and select the appropriate yes or no response. It is important that both parts of the question are asked and answered.
Question 16G. Have you ever had a serious injury to your brain? Please select yes or no. If yes, does it keep you from holding a job or living in stable housing? Please select yes or no. It is extremely important that each volunteer ask every individual interviewed both parts of this question. Question 16H. Are you currently experiencing homelessness because you are fleeing domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking? Please select yes or no.
Question 16I. Do you have AIDS or an HIV-related illness? Response options, yes or no. Question 16J. Do you receive disability benefits? For example, Social Security, income, SSI, or Social Security disability, or Veterans Disability Benefits? Response options, yes or no.